fire up the WebEx too. Mike, it just came up, so you can have Bob connect there.
Bob, we have WebEx on it. Okay. Okay, so he's going to dial in quick. So I think we're going to start though with the proposed plan. And Sean, do you want to start, or do you want me to start? On Monday night, as you all know, we had a large meeting, although before that, last March 17th, we had a meeting with UW System. And Sean and I proposed this plan that we have written, an idea, but we need to make sure that you could feel am I on the mic? Okay, that you feel comfortable with it. And I'm just going to say, as you probably saw, you know, after we had our meeting on Monday night, yeah, I'm sure most of you get the Wisconsin State Journal, that the whole thing was written up in the Wisconsin State Journal on the front page. So it's in the news. And I'll tell you later when we get to it that we already had another institution contact us that wanted to do some maybe cooperative work with us. So, okay. So you want to start with the concept and then I'll come in on things? So we want to keep moving on the meeting because people have places to go.
Sure. So the concept is just for local people to be able to get their education here and increase their bottom line with an associate's or a bachelor's degree. There's some information on the need here about the lower rate of higher education for Richland and Crawford and Vernon counties compared to the rest of the state. And then the median household income too. I did the math. This is about 85% of what the rest of the state is getting. These are all things we know, but it's just some justification. And then how much more people with a bachelor's degree on average earn. This isn't, of course, every job. There are a lot of jobs where you just have a high school diploma, you can make a lot of money, but just on average here. And then the model, do you want me to go into that too, Linda?
I can go into it if you want. Okay, so our model proposed, I mean, there can be different things, is that we have at least 3 in-person programs. And I know it's going backwards, but general education courses as the #1 list. And the reason being that over 50 years, we have the data for that a #1 major for everyone coming to our campus was undecided. So they needed the general courses and didn't have a direct major. #2, and I think we've discussed that about the K-12 and the 5-semester associate degree. And Mark, I have not heard back from DPI, but I have to admit I haven't contacted him again lately. I did send an email to Jeff Barant about that. So, and as you saw in the paper, they are certifying people with bachelor's degrees as quickly as possible who have no pedagogy whatsoever. I have all the articles on that. There is a real problem here. The nursing, we're still talking about the bachelor's of science. We haven't added allied health. And in the nursing program, I had contacted different ones and I've talked to Viterbo. They were somewhat interested. After we had our meeting Monday night, I had an email from Edgewood College, who's working with UW Rock. And Edgewood College said they would like very much to see if we could work in a cooperative manner to set up a program here. I emailed them back a little bit. I talked to Ingrid about having a call with them tomorrow morning. I'm having a brief call with Edgewood College with John Poole, who is head of student services, who knows a lot about the programs we had. We do have all the prerequisites that they have done at Rock, and we have offered all of those but 2 in the past and have the facilities for that. So I'll be talking to Edgewood College in the morning, and so that's something that's maybe a strong possibility with that. The rural environmental program, we feel that there's a strong need living in the driftless area. So organic, sustainable agriculture, forestry, conservation, work programs. At our business meeting on April 7th, Organic Valley is coming, and they're bringing their head of their sustainability program, and they have programs and things that they think might be workable and work with us too. So they called me just 2 days ago with that again. Dual enrollment, that is something that Jeff Barant has been highly wanting to do, and Platteville did not want to do it. We lost all our dual enrollment programs because of that, so that is something we'd like to see if we could reinstate. We, as they said in the directive, and as we know, there's a lot of possibilities for people in our area. I'll offer a menu of online degree programming. And if you look at the back page of your handout, I hope it is, it depends on how I got it stapled. Sean was able to find all the institutions and all the different, I mean, there's a plethora of programs, as you know, are offered, and they don't, not all students realize what all is available. And we would hope that we could be connecting point to make sure that students know when they come in and do some of their general courses, how they can move on and be right here in UW and be UW here, as Sean said, and was a slogan that a past chancellor had thought should be for the UW colleges. If I'm moving too fast, let me know. I'm just trying to keep going here. We would like to offer a reduced tuition rate for all 4 years if they do most of the here. We'd like to serve as a pilot for turning around the declining enrollment at the other 12 UW colleges with UW system affiliation. We'd like not to be directly with any 4-year institution, but this is probably the major stumbling block and the major point that we'd like to do. We'd like to get back to the international program. In addition, continuing education, and continuing education could be a wide variety of things, but as I've talked to, just blanked out on his name, at Schreiber, your head guy, Paul Weber, yeah, he did send me an email back. He's very interested in having evening classes for international workers and programs with English classes and business acumen. And we'd like to do that maybe for Cardinal Glass and others in the area, as well as if we do the teachings, if we do the teaching certificate, we need student teaching placements. A continuing ed person could be working on all those areas to be connected, as well as, of course, have enrichment programs, make sure that the theater is active, and keep the place active weekends, summers, and nights. Okay, funding.
Okay, so there's a couple federal funding sources that are listed here. The first one we already talked about at the last meeting, and I apologize, I brought all that up and then the deadline passed, and I think the fact that we don't have our ducks in a row with UW system would have hurt us anyway, but these do come out on a regular basis, and so this is something, you know, should we get an agreement with the UW system or this model or something like it, we could go after these grants. There was another one that's not on the list. I guess we could add it if we want, but this was in the Counties Association magazine a month or 2 ago. I just was reading it this weekend.
I cut that out.
Oh, good. You were thinking,
Yeah.
Linda was thinking along the same lines. It's called a Rural Innovation Stronger Economy grants. They're to start job incubators. So kind of like what Viroqua has at the Food Enterprise Center, that's a job incubator up by Walmart on Highway 14 there. I did a little looking up too. There's one in Northeast Missouri that was funded with this USDA RISE grant. There wasn't a lot of information about it, but there was another one in Marquette, Michigan, and they decided to focus theirs on outdoor recreation since they have so much public land up there and a lot of people coming there for that. So they're there to help people start small businesses in either like in Viroqua in food or up in Marquette in outdoor recreation. So you can really kind of pick your focus. You have to pick a focus with the grant. So I don't know what our focus would or could be if we wanted to do something like this, but we're an eligible applicant as the county. And UW Systems is also an eligible applicant, but you have to start a partnership, and that applications are due April 20th. I think that's too soon, but it's just another possibility. And then the funding here listed too is Richland County. Obviously, we already have been giving funding to the campus, so I think that's more of a continuation of our capital programming. The Campus Foundation, they've been doing this too in the past, and these federal dollars require matches. So they would be another good possibility. And then the community and alumni fundraising campaign idea. Obviously, this is in the news. So if for some reason we get this all back and going, I think to tell people that we need a 20% match or whatever it is, $1 million fundraising campaign, that's another possibility.
So the transition, the number one thing we asked at the meeting on March 17th, and that is why we are going more open now and talking about this, was that utilities and maintenance remain at the UW system. And the direct question to Jeff Barrett was, what is happening June 30th of July 1 with the maintenance and the utilities and the technology support at the campus? And the answer to that was, at this moment, they didn't have an answer and maybe no resources. Is that how you, Clint and Sean were both there? Is that the same? Yeah. That was extremely disturbing for us. And we felt at that moment that we said, well, then we need to have, by the next April 7th meeting, something start. We wanted to start writing things down and not wait till April 30th to have this agreement. And we also asked at that point if UW Extension could be moved to Melville Hall and that they would know that that would be good. The same answer was given, that they couldn't commit at this time. So we've asked that by next Friday morning that they have some answer or part of an answer to that so we can get started. We're going to try to have, I sent an email to Jeff Barrett yesterday. I didn't hear back from him yet this morning, that we have, and we also wanted academic affairs from the UW system at a meeting, that we have from 10 to 10:30 a meeting of those pertinent things. And then we have all the business people, which we have a nice group coming at 10:30 to share their needs and have a little 2 parts to that meeting. Okay, as you know, the East Hall, and as of April 1, that's open to say that, right? Okay, as of April 1, East Hall will be out of the agreement, which will be this Saturday. So therefore, it will move right to Public Works as far as there. And we explained at the meeting the other night, because you're probably hearing so many people. I even got another email this morning from Brandon Federley asking me what it was going on there. And he was at the meeting the other night, that it would go to, and then at that point, the Public Works Committee would decide what to do with the meeting, and that we have had interest in the building, and hopefully it would be sold or rent to sell or rented. So at that, from April 1 on now, it will not be in our jurisdiction that we need to be as concerned, although we, as county board members, will be very concerned that it's taken well care of. Melville Hall, Miller Library, Science Hall, and Wallace Student Center, we would need to upgrade with, hopefully this funding, the HVAC systems and some of the basic things that keep the building. Obviously, we're working on the roofs, and April 10th, Clinton has organized that they're going to start that part of the roof for Melville Hall now. We need upgrades to technology and furnishings in certain buildings. We need 2 more smart rooms And that would is always been paid by the system and not by us. The classroom building is my idea. We'll just go lightly over this. I think it would make a future residence hall. It stays in agreement. The gymnasium, the outdoor courts, the soccer fields, and management stay in agreement, but we hopefully, as we've talked before, taken over by the Richland Center High School and working on maybe some cooperation with Simon's Recreation Complex. The tillable acres and woods are taken over by Richland County, removed from the agreement. And I think we've talked about having a development, hopefully an eco-friendly development, and also a park there. And the office and classroom space in Wallace Student Center, I think would either be the continuing education program, because it could be the building that's open in the evenings, or we're still talking a little bit with Southwest Tech that maybe they could be running more programs there similar to that. And Jeff Barant is trying to organize another meeting with myself and Jason Wood about that. Although Jason has repeatedly said he doesn't have the resources to work with us, so I'm not counting on that. But you never know how things will work out. Done. You want, we did a staffing plan, but I'm not gonna go through all that, if that's all right this morning. I think at this point, I think we need to know, I mean, we can have other options, which we really won't talk about in open session. And when we talk about things we're gonna do in the thing, but at this point, this is the direction that we're going to aim for. And I'd like to know what questions you have, whether you're comfortable with this, whether you think it's a good directive. The populace, we had 80 people at the meeting on Monday night and 30-some people on the Zoom. We got extremely positive comments. Of course, they're very worried about the funding and, you know, who would be our administrator. I mean, let's face it, we got the big hurdles yet to do. After the meeting, they asked what they can do. And so I just wrote up a letter yesterday and sent it out to lots of the people at the meeting, and it's there for you. This is not something you have to pass on. It was just a letter that they could start writing and giving them talking points of what they could do, and all the addresses of, not all, but of some of the finance committee members, and the list of all the people on the finance committee, as well as the governor. Okay, back to the plan. Any questions, any thoughts? We probably need eventually a motion of support or non-support for this plan, or changes to the plan. That makes sense? I know it's all quickly here, so you can read it and think. Yes, Marty. $4.5 million. Yeah.
No, that's not correct. So, he's asking about remodeling, Linda, of the buildings, because there's a bullet point on that. And I think we would be looking back to that 2013 master plan that
Yeah.
we did with the foundation and with
Right.
the campus, as a starting point. And I'm sure there'll have to be some updates made to that, but I would think at some point we would be creating
Well,
more of a list of near-term projects that would go into a grant application.
right, we're not gonna do all that grand plan that they were planning. Right, we're not, no, we would be doing basics. The 4.5 million is to get us started with all the, what we need for the HVAC.
Marty, can you please?
Yeah,
It's not on.
you mean for those four buildings? For the HVAC systems?
Yeah, my question to Linda, this is Marty speaking, was how much will we be putting in Melville Hall, Miller Library, Science Hall, and Wallace Student Center be remodeled by Richland County? And that's bullet point 5. And just wanted to.
I thought that was the 4.5 million that we were asking for. You don't think so?
So Marty's talking, Linda, if you look at your sheet, he's talking about 5E.
Yeah.
where it says we would remodel those,
Yeah.
Richland County,
Well, that was upgrading them.
we do not have a solid cost estimate on
No.
what it would take to remodel those at this
But
point.
that's why we're asking for the money for the upgrades for those. We're not asking, what are you asking for that money?
I don't know what you're talking about.
The 4.5 million that we're asking for the line item.
Well, so we, in our county board resolution from December, put in a funding request for 4 million.
Yeah, but
But that was for UW System to operate the campus. It wasn't for Richland County to remodel the campus. That was based on, they,
I understand what you mean.
Okay.
Yeah. I did get confused there. We don't have that amount in here. Right.
That to me is the scary part. I mean,
Oh,
even
definitely.
if we continue the campus,
Well, these.
how much is it gonna cost us?
Some of these we'll have to see.
Right. But
I
it'd be
agree.
nice to have, I know we had that grandiose plan that, I can't remember the guy's name, when we had the tri-county, the tri-school model.
Right.
At every meeting, the guy would come with reams and reams of paper. Yeah, okay.
and when it says by Richland County, it only means that Richland County would have to administer it. It doesn't mean that Richland County couldn't get federal grants and couldn't funnel monies from the foundation and a fundraising campaign, but we do
Right.
own and maintain the buildings. So say we provide 10% of the funding and 90% of the funding comes from federal and other local sources. We're not trying to imply, and maybe it just needs to be clarified on here, is maybe a good suggested change, that funding might come from other sources than Richland County.
The fundraising campaign and everything is all for capital things. Ingrid?
Yeah, so this has not yet been presented to the UW.
It has been.
It has been presented?
Yeah, it doesn't mean we can't change, but we didn't have a meeting before we
Okay.
received it.
So for 5F then, with the UW system upgrading the technology and furnishings, did you have any kind of estimate or dollar amount? Did they have questions about that? I mean, I would assume
No,
they
that's
want to
just
know.
what they always do.
Okay, so it wasn't saying that they need to like rehaul what we have or anything like that?
Well, it would be asking probably for 2 smart rooms, but the UW system's been doing that for 50 years.
Okay,
They've always done the upgrades. They've always put in the technology. They've always done all that. That is just sort of stating again what they've done in the past and what's in the MO.
so what is your ask of us today then, if you've already presented?
No, we can change it. I mean, this is a ongoing document.
This has only been created by Linda and myself.
Yeah, this is not an official. I mean, we had to have something we all at once said, we're just not going to have another meeting with them without starting to get something on paper and get something back from them. So I didn't call a special meeting ahead of that because we thought we'd see what they responded to.
And that was where they responded with.
That's where
can't
we felt we
commit."
got the impasse.
Madam Chair.
Yes, Mark. Oh, I'm sorry, Dan.
I've heard nothing in this discussion about, anytime you talk about a university of any capacity, you have to either have a lot of housing, some housing, or no housing. So what type of a campus are you talking about? Are you talking about a total, a non-housing type campus? Would strictly be a distance students, commuting campus? Everybody drives in here every day. What is the situation with campus housing and housing of students?
Okay, for 20 to almost 25 years, our campus had no housing and was an active campus. And then we started with private funding through the foundation. We built housing. The housing is still there. We had an agreement with the new owner, Klein Saucer, that they would have housing for students. the first year they had the agreement with Platteville and that they hired a housing assistant director. And the year before, we had 30 people apply to live there, but they didn't have a housing director, and so they didn't have any way to do it. The next year, they hired a housing director, and then they didn't have more than 2 or 3 apply. And I probably shouldn't show blame, but there was no brochure given to the students. There was nothing on the website that said that there was housing. There was no advertising that said there was housing. The advisor said if they can ask me if they would like housing, I'll send them somewhere. So that fell through. At the moment, Darlo Wentz was at the meeting the other night and announced that had been agreement. There's international workers there living now, but it is not full. So there is room, but we first have to get programs, and then I think that we can work out something.
Okay, I can't keep up with, how many people Cardinal Glass are bringing in here. That's a very fluid, situation. So I'm wondering, so you said, did I hear you right? There's room for 30, students up there yet? It's not quite full with the workers
Well, I don't
from
know the
Mexico?
exact number right now, but I know it's not full. And I know that they're advertising for people to live there. And I know I have the email, I keep in contact with the person that is in charge of it. But we aren't asking for students to be there right now, so until we have the ask. But if you want to live up there, there's a traditional dorm that does not really work well for renting as an apartment.
Linda, can I add something? So Darlo stated at the meeting on Monday, he has an agreement with Dwayne Klein Saucer that if housing is needed for students, that he will prioritize students being able to live there. But there has been no demand for students, in part because of what's happening right now, but also in part because Platteville wasn't facilitating the process. So part of what we need also is we need a partner who is willing to work with Mr. Kleinsaucer. So the housing is there, but someone's got to do the work, and it can't be us at the county. It's got to be the UW system.
Well, that's why we have a staffing proposal.
Okay, I don't know if that completely answers my question, but what I'm concerned about is that if you have some housing, then would this be students that then would be living in with a working society, a non-educational society, partially in the building and then partially students? Is that correct? Am I making an accurate
There are
assumption?
4
here?
buildings there.
Huh?
There are 4 buildings there. So I'm sure that they can figure out something that would be a separate building situation.
Okay, so you're saying that something still has to be figured out. Those are your words, right?
Dan, everything has to be figured out. I'm sorry, but we are just pushing to get one step at a time. We can't deal with every detail like that until we have a program and a commitment. So I wish I could be better and say this is all more organized, but we have a community support that wants this. We're working toward it. I can't give, I got several emails asking me how many FTE the faculty is going to be and all that kind of stuff. I had 3 of those in the last 2 days. I cannot answer those questions yet until we have an idea of the programs. There's a lot of details that will need to be worked out. That's why we're not thinking of starting right away.
Madam
Sorry,
Chair,
I can't answer you better.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Chair, I
Yes.
know you're wanting us to possibly make some changes on this, but I'm wondering, is our closed session discussion going to be pertinent to it at all? Do we want to wait to take any kind of action?
We weren't going to, but we can if you want to wait and do that.
I just didn't know what,
Yeah,
if it
it's
was
gonna
gonna
be,
be
it's gonna be on something else.
okay,
It is gonna be about funding
okay.
and things.
This is just getting back to what you said about Edgewood, Colin.
Yeah, you just weren't close.
What you said about Edgewood, is that meaning if we were to do something with Edgewood, would we have to be totally separate from UW? Would UW allow that?
Well, yeah, no, it's working right now at UW Rock. UW Rock is associated with Whitewater. They have many other programs besides the nursing program. They just have that one program with Edgewood College, and the UW has been very positive about working toward that.
Um, And then the other thing is, so has East Hall, once April 1st comes, is the school board still interested in taking over that? Is that closed session stuff? Okay, never mind. I retract the question.
Madam Chair.
Yes, Mike.
So I would rather wait to close session to get into details, but just from the legal perspective, one thing that I have noticed missing here is that regardless of how we move forward with the campus, the current memorandum of agreement is not a feasible document. I've gone through your plan and highlighted a number of things that are either complicated or impossible under the current terms of it. And so if someone were willing to make the motion to amend, I would like a directive to begin drafting an amended memorandum of agreement. That's another thing that we're going to need to present to them. In our first meeting, they had said, "Oh, we'll draft that for it." I don't think that's coming. So I think I would like to get the ball rolling on that.
Should we do that in closed session or?
Well, some of the things we maybe want to address in there are best discussed in closed session, but I think overall the statement that the memorandum of agreement needs to be updated and that should be incorporated as part of this plan. I have no issue saying in open session.
Thank you. So maybe we should just go into closed session. What do you think?
Motion, I'll make
Yeah.
a motion to go into closed session.
Okay, and I'm gonna allow you guys to be here so that Bob can stay on in closed session too. Is that all right with everybody? Cheryl, Clint, Mike, and okay,
Madam Chair, I was actually considering it this morning. The new ethics ordinance actually applies to employees of the county and has the provision against disclosure of matters discussed in closed session. And so actually by ordinance, we're covered.
okay,
And so employees, I
Thank
think,
you. Okay. I have a motion. Do I have a second to go into closed session? Barb, voice seconds. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, you want to close the door? Bob, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Okay, we need to get rid of a few people. I mean, not really get rid of you. Thank you for being on. Yes. Are you two on and on in here? Okay. I don't mind. I just, I saw it. I wasn't looking up there. We tried to log in and it wasn't. Yeah. I understand.
It's all grease, so.
From the committee to support the framework plan that we're presenting to the UW system with some of the edits that were presented today. Does that make sense?
I'll make the motion.
Mark moves. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Barb voice seconds. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Against? Yes.
I vote present.
Okay. So Bob, are you on?
No, he left.
So I don't have a quorum, right? Or is that four, is that work? 4-1? I have a quorum, but Is it still passed if it's,
It's a majority vote of those.
it's okay, okay, I didn't know how that worked, thank you. Okay. No, I'm present, I guess.
I think in the county board rules, it's an abstention. Yeah. So I think I just have to abstain.
Okay, thanks. No. So we're not gonna do anything with this other document, I'm not gonna mention it right now, okay? We're gonna do something. And if you have suggestions to me on, I'm gonna be calling these people and we're gonna be working on the details. I'm just gonna say that I am not comfortable making those initial calls because as you know, they might think that I am not the right legislative person to make. If, I don't know if Ray Schmitz would be interested, but I don't know if you know of someone that you think should make the initial calls. I would appreciate hearing from you. Does that make sense? Because it's very important.
Linda, what, does anybody know anybody like in Boscobel who would be a strong supporter of the UW, whose kids maybe went there? I'm thinking the Tony Kurtz,
He's Wanawak.
I know, I'm thinking that angle.
Oh.
For somebody from other than Richland County. Of course, it says Richland County stuff, never mind.
Doesn't matter, yeah, okay. Okay, so, I put the utilities thing on here, but Clint, do you think we could wait to our actual next meeting for that? Is that all right with you? Because I appreciate you've got it done and it is extremely important, but I think that time is running out and I promised people not to have too long a meeting. So I really am glad you did that and we'll be reviewing it. And then, I also put on here about, the extension offices, and since that is going to an effect, and since we don't have a definite, maybe we should wait till after Friday. Clint, are you coming the April 7th? It's a Labor Day, it's Good Friday, and I know some people, because the kids are occupied. Are you gonna be at that meeting?
I will not be, Madam Chair.
Okay, but I can contact you about that if, okay. So, I guess, I thought maybe we should wait till the 7th, or do you think that we shouldn't? Marty, do you have a feeling about that? I mean, about utilities or about, oh, yeah, she has the report, you can send. No, we're talking about where extension should be moved and how soon it should move.
Yeah, for Adam's sake, I believe the sooner the better. It's better than later.
So are you thinking we should ask, because they're a committee, they're a group still under our committee, so we want to take good care of them.
And I'm wondering if their group will always be under your committee.
Yeah, because they're an education group.
Right, so.
Why would they not be?
Well, that's what I think.
Yeah.
I don't know why they wouldn't be,
Yeah.
so. It's because of where they're.
You mean you've got Pine Valley taking care of child support?
Right, no.
Okay, so, yes, Mark?
I guess, in my opinion, I think we need to move very fast and get Adam set where he needs to go. And in my opinion, he should go to Health and Human Services, and because it's under our control, that building's not going.
Exactly.
And I think that, we need to make that work and make it work as fast as we can. That's my opinion.
I agree with that. Do we have to have a motion on that? I don't know where Sean went.
Choice somewhere it goes?
No, I think we can say that we'd like Clint to work on it as quickly as possible. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and we have the interim administrator coming in, and we got to tell him what we're gonna do, so.
Mhm. I'm sorry, Adam, that it's just like all of us. We're really caught in a lot of different things here.
I guess with the move to HHS, I just want to ask that the committee, with this move, supports also that second phase of the move, right? Because we met with Trish, and there's office spaces for some of the educators to be close by. The support staff is gonna be separate from the educators. There's gonna be shared workspaces there. And then the second phase would be actually remodeling a space for extension. So, I mean, the move to HHS is gonna be a two-stage operation for us, and I don't want it to be, oh, we're thrown over there, and then 5 years later, we're still looking for the funding to get the remodel and move to where we're appropriate. So I guess as you move forward with this, I would really like some reassurances in the form of that motion or resolution, whatever it is that allows us the money first to move over there. That there's some assurances that our department is actually not just shotgunned into those offices at work over there, and then 5 years down the road, we're still in those shotgun spaces.
Well, I think that we owe you that. I mean, that's, if we get Plan A, maybe
Yeah,
things
so
will
what does
change.
that look like then? Do we move to HHS in those shotgun spaces and then move back over to campus?
Well, then you wouldn't have to pay for the remodeling.
Yeah. Well,
But
I mean,
that's all wishful thinking.
My opinion, we plan forward.
Right.
We get this under our lock and key.
Right.
Because we don't know in 3 years if it changes again.
Exactly.
Or the AE part of your plan.
Right.
I mean, I could support that. I think anybody can.
Oh, yeah.
It costs money to move things to get them where you need to get them. And once they're there, then we shouldn't have to move it again.
Okay.
My thoughts.
Okay. That's okay.
I mean, I want to leave it out in limbo, wondering, and then all of a sudden, oh, you gotta move tomorrow.
Yeah.
Well, we can't make that happen. So let's go forward and do it right by those guys and do it right by the county, and everybody will understand that it costs money to make things work. I don't know how much money it's gonna cost, but it can't be that. It ain't gonna be as much as the utility bill at the camp.
Okay. Do we need to do more on that, Clint? Okay.
I don't think so.
I'll say this, Adam, we're gonna make sure we get proper accommodations for you. And you have, by just being who you are and agreeing to work with the county on this, it gets you a lot of goodwill, and I'm sure that there will be no opposition to what we have in the future. I haven't talked to Trish personally, but I know that Clint and Trish have been talking about this.
Point well taken.
I would also recommend that you bring that concern to the Public Works Department. Public Works Committee.
Because they'd be in charge of the remodeling. Okay. Public comments? Okay, I already told you the correspondence I had. Do I have a motion to,
So we.
did we vote on that other
Withdrawal
motion?
from the agreement, has that been?
What?
That's done.
Done. Okay, do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting and? Okay, and we'll be meeting the second week of April again at 1:15. Okay, all in favor of adjournment? Thank you again. Thank you.